is using Uber as a basis. Uber was the May 2017 exam. Okay, so we're going to use that as a base in terms of how to answer the questions. We're going to look at exam techniques. We're going to look at a couple of issues in terms of the content and those kind of things, so that you can get a feel for what to expect from the exam. I really would like you to ask questions as we go along, provide comments, anything. Please, let's keep it interactive. Let's have a dialogue going here. Yeah, and let's enjoy. All right. Now, the Uber case study, if you've had a chance to have a read it, and I'm just going to quote some of the issues in the Uber case study, because that has an influence on how we look at the case study. Okay, so Uber starts off by saying it had a pursued rapid growth across the African continent. Okay, it's a technology company whose GPS-based app connects your passengers with freelance drivers, okay, who provide their own vehicles, and has since been heralded as the world's most valuable startup business. Okay, then they explain in which countries they are. They're in 70 countries throughout Africa. That Nairobi is the brand's fastest growing city worldwide. That, for example, during 2016, the Ugandan capital city of Kampala came on board and launched with a 3-day offer of free rides for potential local customers. Ghana did the same in Accra. They talk about Uber's mission, which is delivering transportation as reliable as running water everywhere for everyone. The philosophy is one of perpetual expansion. So you get a feel for Uber. There's lots of focus on growth, on expanding throughout South Africa based on this technology. Okay, it's not like a normal taxi where you stand next to the road and a taxi picks you up. It's very specifically technology based. And it continues to say, and most of you probably might have used an Uber already, you know that you have to download an app on your cell phone. Basically what happens is when you call the Uber car with your GPS on your cell phone, it tells the Uber person where you are. You know which Uber drivers are closest to you, and then you get a message saying who's your driver going to be, what the car is, what kind of car, Toyota, white, what the registration is, all those kind of things. So lots of technology happening here. Okay, their strategy for growth, as I said, they're platform based. Then their strategy focuses on major cities whose citizens have smartphones. Other must-haves include the availability of reliable mobile phone coverage, an ample supply of vehicles that meet Uber's requirements and provide passengers with options in terms of the kind of cars they would like to commute. So important here is that you've got a choice on the car that you can choose to use. Okay. Then very important, they talked about the launching, the launch strategy. If you guys are following with me. They partner with a local launcher to introduce the brand. Okay, for example, they say, let me just get they are tasked with creating something where previously there was nothing. These are the launchers I'm talking about. They need to understand the designated city's transportation systems, its challenges, its regulations. Okay, and what your launcher does is he or she puts together an operating team in the city. They help and recruit and train drivers, and they identify opportunities to market the brand locally. Okay, and then they continue with what they've done in the various cities in Lagos, where they partnered with Kia Motors and Access Bank, and what they did in all the various African cities. They have a frequent element to Uber's launches strategy called the Rider Zero concept, where they use local celebrities or so-called influencers to be among their first in the respective cities to travel by Uber. And then they talk about all the various celebrities that they use in various African cities. They say, yeah, we use a non-conventional approach to marketing and find this to be most effective. Again, they differentiate themselves. On-demand services such as Uber Yachts and Uber Choppers creates buzz around the brand. They talk about a recycling activity that they had in Nairobi on Earth Day, in Lagos and Nairobi. Okay, and then they discuss the obstacles that they face. These include having to take on regulators, various threats and fend-off attacks from traditional taxi industry, like we know currently is the case in South Africa with Uber and the taxi environment, where the taxis do not want Uber in South Africa because they feel that their business is being taken away by Uber. Okay, they talk about digital connection, where they've sometimes got challenges in terms of digital connection in certain countries, depending on what the challenges are in that specific country. They talk about the fact that they're doing cash payments now in some places because that's just to serve their customers better. Our biggest challenge in Africa is that not all driver partners are tech savvy, as is necessary. The Uber process requires all drivers to have email addresses and access to the internet so they can upload documentation. They also need an understanding of smartphone technology and apps. Upskilling driver partners is of paramount importance to us. Okay, and then they continue to say that every vehicle is essentially a small business. The app provides them, the app provides them with the means of accessing customers and vehicle owners, and they provide training. Okay, and then they have a little heading that says Kenyan competitor for Uber, which is Safaricom in East Africa, is launching a ride-hailing service in Kenya that will equip cars with free Wi-Fi, M-Pesa, I think I pronounced it correctly, payment options, and connectivity to the Safari.com network. Okay, so that's very, very briefly what Uber is about. There's much more detail in it, and I hope you've had the chance to read it. If not, some of the stuff that I've just said hopefully is going to assist you in answering the questions. Okay, so let's start with question 1. Okay, it says here, consider the Uber extract. Discuss word of mouth influence under the following headings. 1.1. What are the roles of strong and weak ties, as well as opinion leaders in word of mouth dissemination? Include in your answer, what is an opinion leader? And guys, look at the mark allocation, that is 6 marks. Okay. The second question asks, provide proof of how Uber uses opinion leaders to build the Uber brand in the African market. And 1.3 says, choose any 4 principles for igniting positive word of mouth momentum, or otherwise referred to as igniting self-explosive, self-generating demand, and explain how Uber uses each of these principles. Okay, so those are the 3 questions. If you look at them in total, 20 marks. That's 1/5 of your exam. Okay, if we look then at chapter 21, this whole question relates to chapter 21, which discusses PR, word of mouth influence, and sponsorships. All right. When you look at block number 4, word of mouth influence, the blue block, you're talking there about strong and weak ties. So that's your first part of your question. The second bullet is the role of opinion leaders in word of mouth dissemination. Okay, so that's also a part of your first question. All right. Then block 5, your green one, that says buzz creation and viral marketing. Okay, and right, the last bullet, the 4th bullet says igniting explosive self-generating demand. People, what you need to understand is you need to know and understand the jargon that is being used in your textbook. Okay, you need to understand those exact words because they might ask them in various ways when you are writing your exam. All right, so understand what the words are, and if there are alternative words for the same thing, you must know that too. Okay. Okay, what are the role, as I've said, what are the role of strong and weak ties as well as opinion leaders in word of mouth dissemination? Include in your answer what is an opinion leader. Marcus, I don't know why you have, does anybody else have no sound? Just confirm, please. Marcus, this video is usually available. Kayla has sound. Okay. Maybe Marcus just unmute. I don't know. Okay. Nintendo's got sound. Okay. But Marcus, to answer your question, I'm going to type for you. Marcus, usually about a week after. Okay. Okay, thank you, Genevieve, for your question, for your response too. All right. Okay, let's look at opinion leaders and strong and weak ties. What are opinion leaders? These are people from a social network of family, friends, and acquaintances. People that you and I know, okay? But they have a particular influence. Usually these people are quite outspoken. They're usually quite social, okay? And they've got an influence on individuals' attitudes and behavior. They can tell you what's going on in the markets, or they've got specific products. Maybe they like cars, for example. And if you need to know anything about new cars, that's the specific opinion leader. Or, as I said, they've got specific topics, if I can call it that, topics that they are interested in and that they are very knowledgeable about, where they can provide advice. So they inform other people about products, they provide advice, and reduce the follower meaning the person who listens to them, their perceived risk in purchasing a product. All right. They provide positive feedback to support or confirm decisions that followers have already made. Now let's go back to my car example. No volume option. Okay. Okay, Genevieve, maybe you can help Marcus there, please. So these followers. So this opinion leader. Let's go back to my car example. Okay, this friend or family member that you've got really knows everything about a car. You then go to that person and say, I am interested in buying a car. What is your opinion maybe of the new Hyundai, whatever Hyundai car, all right? And the opinion leader is going to tell you, no, the Hyundai, it's got a good engine, it's reliable, it's got such a long warranty, and you can really believe that person because he or she knows what they're talking about. And then after you've bought that specific Hyundai, they're going to tell you, you've done a good job, it's a good car, good quality, you didn't make a mistake. So that's the kind of people that are opinion leaders, okay? Their influence, as I've said, is usually restricted to one or several consumption topics, maybe sport, food, movies, whatever the case may be. And they derive satisfaction from sharing their opinion and explaining to others what they know about products and services. All right, so this is what an opinion leader is, okay? Everybody with me? Any questions, please shoot. Okay, so that's the first part. They ask you, what are the roles of the strong and weak ties as well as opinion leaders in word of mouth dissemination? Include what is an opinion leader. So we've talked about what an opinion leader is. Okay. Now the tie strength. People, I just want to, sorry, just 2 seconds. Sorry, I just wanted to switch on my battery. The tie strength has to do with how strong we connect with that opinion leader, okay? So consumers' interpersonal relations range on a continuum from very strong, where you've got frequent and intimate conversations, to weak ties or rare interactions. Now, if we go back to your opinion leader, obviously if it's somebody that you deal with often, okay, or a friend that you see often on a regular basis, your strength with that person is going to be stronger. Sorry, I just want to take it away. Is going to be so much stronger, okay, and you're going to believe that person when he tells you something. You're going to probably believe him better, okay. If you've got weak ties, in other words, you don't interact with that person that often, it's not a credibility issue, but you might need another couple of opinions before you buy the Hyundai product, for example, okay? So through these interactions, information flows about your products and your products, restaurants, whatever it is that you're discussing, and your marketer needs to orchestrate the flow of information about products through advertising and creating buzz to get the ball rolling for your product information to be spread. So, coming back to our car example, if Hyundai then has a brilliant ad or an ad that goes really, really viral, and we've got an opinion leader who's really interested in cars, he or she's definitely going to see that advertisement, okay, take notice, take cognizance of it, okay, and start talking about it, because remember we said they like sharing their opinions on the products that they know. So as soon as that buzz is created by Hyundai, this opinion leader is going to tell everybody who wants to listen about this new product, and they've done this additional research maybe, and the Hyundai is definitely very good quality, and so whatever his or her opinion might be. Okay, so that is the issue with strong and weak ties, and we've explained what an opinion leader is, and that's for 6 marks. Okay, Etienne, Lutendo, everybody happy? Okay, Lutendo is typing. Okay, thank you, Lutendo. All right, question 1.2 says, provide proof of how Uber uses opinion leaders to build the Uber brand in the African market. Okay, so what did we say in terms of opinion leaders? In the Uber extract, they call them influencers, which is very similar to an opinion leader, okay? And what they did is, you can go and have a read in your assignment paper. It says, Uber used opinion leaders through its Rider Zero concept. I touched on that when we just gave a background, where they used local celebrities or so-called influencers to be amongst the first in their respective cities to travel by Uber. So they use these probably rich and famous people to show the people how reliable Uber is, that even if a cool celebrity can use Uber, anybody can use an Uber, okay? Examples of this include Ice Prince in Nigeria, DJ Lenium in Mombasa, and Mark Fish in South Africa. So to answer this question, you need to actually just go and read the question, read your case study, and provide the proof as they ask in terms of what you've read there. Okay, so the opinion leaders in this case are the celebrities that they use to, when they enter a new market, they use celebrities to get that buzz. Remember that buzz we talked about, that vibe we talked about, to get that going so that people start noticing Uber, and that they see celebrities are using it, because if celebrities use a brand, then people generally tend to be more favorable to that brand. Okay. Question 1.3 says, choose any 4 principles for igniting positive word of mouth momentum, or otherwise referred to as igniting self-explosive, self-generating demand. Sorry, there must be a bracket after demand, and explain how Uber uses each of these principles. Remember, people, we are still with chapter 21. This one counts 12 marks. Now, if we analyze this question, it says 4 principles, okay? So we can make the deduction that each principle counts 3 marks. So you need to ensure when you get a question like this that you write enough for 4 marks, okay? And what you always need to remember, people, is you need to write the theory side. You have to explain to the marker, and there's no exception here, you have to explain to the marker what you understand with, for example, design the product to be unique and visible, okay? What do you mean with that? Once you've dealt with the theory, okay, then only you go and you apply it, in our case, to Uber, okay? So there are 6 principles. The first one is to design the product to be unique and visible, all right? Okay. Uniqueness in terms of the functionality, or the product must be highly visible or confer status on opinion leaders and connectors. Now, if we think our opinion leaders in Uber were the celebrities, do they carry status, and would they carry that status through to Uber? Okay, so that's the first thing. Number 2, select and seed the vanguard. The vanguard are people or a group of people leading the way in adopting new products, okay? Your challenge as a marketer is to understand which group of people to target your initial marketing on, okay? Ration supply has to do with providing insufficient numbers of products for the demand. In other words, having less than you know the market is going to demand. Because if there's less, the hype is more and more people want the product. That's just the psychology of people. So that there's too little, so more people want it. Everybody wants this type of product. Okay. Number 4, use celebrity icons. I think that's quite obvious. Number 5, tap into the list of powers or power of lists. And these are lists that influence consumer behavior and direct action. Okay. And then lastly, nurture the grassroots, getting adopters of products to convert other people into users. The adopters of products, yeah, to convert other people into users. Okay. Now, anybody, just give me 1 or 2. Remember, they ask 4 principles of igniting word of mouth momentum. All right. We have discussed very briefly 6. Okay. So I'm going to give you a minute. Okay. And you tell me which one of those 4, because now you need to understand, you need to choose the 4 that has mostly been applied by Uber. So if you can, if you've read it and if you know enough about what I've just said in terms of those 6 bullets, which ones do you think, you don't have to say why, just tell which ones of those do you think are applicable to Uber, okay? Whilst you are typing, design the product. How unique, how visible is the Uber product, okay? Select and seed the vanguard, the group of people leading the way to adopt a new product. Ration supply, in other words, having too little for the demand at that point in time. Using celebrity icons, that's just using our celebrities. Tap the power of list, using list, being sure that you're on the top 10 list of transport providers or whatever the list may be. And then nurture the grassroots, in other words, your adopters of your products to convert the people into users. Okay, those 6 issues, which one of them, and I'm going to wait for some replies, please, which one of them do you think is applicable to Uber? Kyla's typing. Thank you, Kyla. Okay, Lutendo, Etienne, I want all of you typing, please. Caroline, thank you. Skulk. 1, 2, 4, and 6. Celebrity icons, Caroline, yes. Product to be unique. Select the vanguard, yes, I agree. Power of lists, maybe. Oh, celebrity icons, yes. Okay. All right. Anybody still else typing? Lutendo. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for those of you who've contributed. You make my job a little bit easier. All right. Let's talk about the design. Remember we said that the design of this product is so unique. And if you read the case study, you'll see that they talk about the technology that Uber has used and how unique it is in terms of the transportation business throughout South Africa. Okay, so what I've said here is, for example, the business model is very unique in the transport industry by making use of technology to match the passenger with the nearest driver. Okay, the fact that they don't own a fleet of cars, it's not like your buses and so on. They don't own a fleet of car because remember we said each car is like an own business. The person who drives the car is the owner of that car, and it's not an Uber car. It's not an Uber asset. Okay, it's the asset of the driver. And this is a very unique model. So in my mind, the design of the product to be unique and visible is definitely an issue. Okay, select and seed the vanguard. That's another one I chose together with you, Kayla. Sorry. The challenge is here, Uber needs to understand which consumer group will have the greatest influence. So they use the local launches, and one can assume from the case study that these local launches are people who are quite dynamic because they need to put together teams, and they need to get drivers, and they need to do training. So it's dynamic people, okay? And they are the people who initially launches the Ubers in the various countries, okay? We can assume that they'll be leaders in the market and adopt these new products and build not only the business network, but also the marketing word to potential consumers, okay? Ration supply, I don't think is an issue for Uber because they actually want to expand. They don't want to have a ration supply. The more the merrier. Okay, so I don't think ration supply, in my opinion, is applicable to Uber. Okay, use celebrity icons. They have. I'm not going to go into it. I've already mentioned a couple of names, but they've definitely done that. The power of lists. I haven't seen that Uber has been on a top 10 list of anything. So for me, that's not necessarily the best option. But lastly, nurture the grassroots, getting your early adopters, your celebrities in this case, to spread the word, to influence other people to accept this product, to use this product. Okay. They also, what else they did is they had a 3-day offering of free rides in Accra and Dar es Salaam. Okay. So yeah, they used this opportunity to expose people and potential local consumers to the Uber service. So if you've had this service free of charge, okay, and it's a new thing in the country, yes, of course you're going to talk about it, okay, and possibly you're going to tell these people that they should tell everybody about this new service, and so try to increase your client base and try to get people to use the Uber service more, okay. What did I say? Potential local consumers to the Uber service with the objective of these people who receive the free rides, convincing other people to use the Uber services as well. Okay, so need to reiterate, when you look at the heading of this slide, chapter 21, Uber question 1.3, 12 marks, you had to choose 4 principles. There are 6 in total. Which ones are most relevant? So you need to understand, and I'm going to say this over and over again, do not learn your marketing communications parrot phase, guys. You need to understand what the issues are. If you understand what each of these 6 issues mean, what they entail, you're going to be able to apply the right ones to the Uber case study. If you don't understand what each means, if you don't understand what ration supply is, you might choose it and your application might be wrong. Okay, so understand what the issues are. All right, let's continue. Question 2 says, and we're still with Uber, considering the Uber extract, advise its marketing team on whether out of home or off premises advertising could be a possible advertising medium to use by answering the following questions. 2.1. Explain the 4 major forms of hoarding advertising. Ensure you also provide an example of how Uber would be able to use each form of hoarder advertising. 2.2. Explain the major strengths of hoarder advertising for 5 marks. And then 2.3. Explain the major limitations associated with outdoor advertising. Okay, now if we look, this is chapter 22. Hoarder advertising or outdoor advertising. This chapter says is all about packaging, point of purchase, communication, signage, those kind of things. All right. And it talks about out of home or off-premise advertising. That's number 4. Is the green circle on your left-hand side of your screen. That is what this question is all about. Okay. You need to go and have a look in your textbook, guys, in chapter 22. The word hoarder advertising is only mentioned once or twice, or not that often. In South Africa, this is an American book. In South Africa, we talk about billboards. Those are the boards that you generally see, in the big boards that you see when you're on the highway, those kind of things. So when you listen to the word, or when you hear the word hoarding advertising, you must think of the outdoor, out of office. It's not TV, it's not radio, it's not those type of advertising, it's outdoors. So understand, and I'm saying the word again, understand what hoarding advertising, because it's not really terminology that we use that often in essay, means. Okay, so 2.1 says explain the 4 major forms of hoarding advertising, and you need to provide an example of how Uber would be able to use each form of advertising. Okay, the first one is poster panels. Okay, and poster panels are those that you generally see along the highway or areas where you travel often. For example, I'm in Johannesburg. The N1 between Joburg and Pretoria is a very likely place to find poster panels. It's heavily traveled. Okay, and then you need to understand, in terms of hoarder advertising, the major forms have a lot to do with how they are produced, how they are made. Okay, so poster panels are silk screened or lithographed posters and then posted into sheets onto the hoarding. And the hoarding means basically the back side of the banner. Okay, so you've got a permanent back sides. Sometimes when you go past these billboard advertisements on the highway or wherever, you'll see that they are not filled at that point, that there's no advertisement, so you just see a blank screen or a blank page. Okay, but the hoarding is the back side, so they put the silk screen onto the hoarding of the poster. Okay, and then how can Uber potentially use it? Uber could use poster panels on major highways. I said in my example, for example, the N1 between Joburg and Pretoria, or the M1 and M2 in Johannesburg, or major highways. I know there's an M2 in Cape Town as well, but it's the busy streets where poster panels are usually used. Okay, so how it is made. The second form, okay, has to do with bulletins. Okay, now bulletins, remember I said to you, hoarding advertising has a lot to do with the forms, with how it's produced. Bulletins are painted directly on hoardings, the back pieces, or it's computer generated, probably today, more computer generated vinyl images that are applied onto the hoarding space. All right. It is used for 1 to 3 years, okay, to achieve consistent and a relatively permanent presence for your brand. Okay. They are more resistant to rain. They are more permanent. So Uber could use a bulletin board, for example, in major business centers. All right, maybe Sandton or Cape Town, close to hotels, because a hotel would typically be a place where a traveler would use an Uber to either go to a restaurant or go to a business meeting or whatever the case may be. So possibly in Uber's case, a bulletin board in your city centers or close to your major corporate hotels could be a thing that they could consider. Okay. The third one is digital billboards. Okay. Biggest developments in hoarding advertising. Okay. It is similar to a huge flat screen. It's like a TV. Okay. And you've got images that move the whole time. It's not static like poster panels and bulletin boards. Okay. So there's movement to it. So what you can do with that billboard is just so much more in terms of visual effects as opposed to what poster panels and bulletins can do. Okay, they can be changed frequently and it allows the integration with other digital ads, meaning that if you've got, let's say, a Facebook advertisement, you can duplicate that Facebook advertisement on your digital billboard. So you can all use various digital platforms to advertise. Okay, it's expensive. Okay, it's controversial in some areas. You can go and have a look at that in your textbook. Okay, and just a question: where do you think, Skulk, I'm going to be mean. I want to ask you the question: where do you think digital billboards would possibly be the most, or where would you put up digital billboards if you think about Uber specifically? Skulk doesn't want to speak to me. Anybody else wants to speak to me? Okay, Lutendo, thank you for typing. Okay, so where, if you've got a digital billboard, it's like a huge flat screen TV, where would Uber find it most valuable to place this digital billboard? Caroline says the traffic lights, very nice. Okay, business parks, definitely, because we've got people who go to business parks for meetings and you don't always have transport. Okay, highways, maybe. Okay, but I like your business park suggestion, Nintendo. Thank you for that. Traffic lights, Caroline, yes, because you can stop at a red traffic light, very nice, and you can actually watch this digital ad running through. Okay, so there is time for you to see the whole motion, the whole digital ad running through. Okay, nice. Thank you for your examples, people. Okay, so that was the third one, digital billboards. And then, Etienne, don't stop typing. I'm listening to what you've got to say. And then lastly, specialty billboards. Okay, these are very artistic, very, Etienne, lovely, at the airport, definitely. Okay, that is such a good example. Okay, at the airport, because you get there, you need transport, definitely a big thing. Thank you. Okay, specialty billboards. Okay, different artistic and graphical techniques is used in an engaging and creative way. Okay, so Uber would, for example, employ a specialist company to manufacture the specialty billboard, which would be different, it would be eye-catching, it would be vibey maybe, and place this in high-traffic areas, business centers, Etienne's airport, close to shopping malls. Okay, so depending on what it looks like, it could be placed in these high, busy traffic areas. Okay, the thing that you need to understand with this question, people, is that there are 4 different types of billboards, and it's to do with how they are produced. Okay. The second thing is that you need to, if you get asked a similar question, you need to think of your product, your Uber product. Okay. Who uses Uber? Okay. So where are we going to find the most advantage? Where's Uber, we meaning Uber, going to have the biggest advantage in placing this billboard? Because it's expensive, so they want the biggest bang for their buck. Okay, so what is the best place to put this advertisement of theirs, and where's it going to be the most seen by their likely target markets? All right, so that was the first 2.1 of the question. 2.2 says, explain the major strengths of hoarder advertising. Okay, I think this is quite obvious. Okay, it's got a broad reach. Okay, there's lots of people passing these billboards, these hoarder advertising. So it reaches all segments of the population. High frequency, especially if it's on a highly traveled road. If you travel to a specific town or a specific road every day and you see that billboard every day, that means high frequency. Okay. Geographic flexibility. It can be put very strategically, for example, maybe only in Gauteng or in the Cape Town CBD, okay, depending on what your objective is in terms of using this billboard or hoarder advertising, okay. Substantial brand identification, because it is so big. It's not in your face, but it's so much bigger than a TV ad or a magazine ad or a newspaper ad. It's really big, and you will see that usually the brand is very big, it's very bold, so it's easy. Even if you're on the road and you're going at, let's say, 100 kilometers an hour, you recognize the brand. So it's fantastic for brand identification. Okay. And I also add here, I say marketers use creative techniques and eye-catching visuals. So they're trying to attract your attention even whilst you're driving. And if you're in a taxi and you don't have to drive and keep your eye on the road, so much the better for your marketer. Okay. And then your textbook continues to say it's an excellent last reminder before purchasing. So traditionally, companies like your restaurants, like your beer companies, those people tend to use these type of your Spurs, your KFCs. They tend to use these kind of billboards because when you go home on a Friday evening, you're tired, you see the Spur billboard on the road on your way home, and you think, nice idea. Okay, let's have Spur tonight, or KFC, or whatever the billboard is that you saw. Okay, so it's an excellent last reminder before purchasing. So those are your 5 hoarder advertising strengths. Again, the word broad reach or high frequency is not going to give you a mark. You need to explain to the examiner what you mean with broad reach, what you mean with high frequency. Okay, so you need to explain your understanding of the concepts. All right, so again, don't learn, paraphrase, understand. All right, question 2-3 says, explain the major limitations. We talked about the benefits, the disadvantages. It's a demographic non-selectivity. In other words, let's say it's a car brand that's advertising their brand. A lot of people who's going to pass that advertisement is not going to be able to afford a car. All right. So it's not a target market. Everybody sees it, whether you are specifically in that market or not for that product. So there's no non-selectivity of in terms of the target market of those advertisements. Short exposure time basically means if you are going past the billboard at 120 kilometers an hour, you're only going to catch 1 or 2 things, if that. And then there are environmental concerns. Some people and companies saying that billboards are what did they call it? Litter on a stick. And in some countries, outdoor advertising have been banned. Okay, because some people also see it as ugly and intrusive. Okay, so that was question 2. Everybody happy? Any questions so far? Please let me know. Happy, thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Okay, thank you, Etienne. Thanks for your feedback. Okay, question 3 says, explain sales promotion management under the following headings. 3.1 says premiums. What are premiums? Sorry, and I see there's a glitch there. 3.12 should be under 3.11. Would Uber be able to use this sales promotion technique? And if yes, how? Okay. 3.2 continues to talk about sweepstakes and contests. What are the difference between sweepstakes and contests? Oh, and that was it. Sorry. Okay. And 322 says, how would Uber be able to use either sweepstakes or contests as a possible sales promotion technique to reinforce Uber's brand image? Explain in detail. All right. Now and then they talk about continuity programs as well. Sorry, I see my formatting has gone a little bit haywire, so sorry about that. 331 says, what are continuity programs and what is the goal or objective of introducing a continuity program? And 332 says, how would you recommend Uber introduce a continuity program to achieve the brand management objective explained in your answer above? So all this continues one after the other. All right. So your chapter 20 has to do with premiums and other promotions. Your first question referred to premium. That's the orange block, number 1. Okay. Sweepstakes and contests. It's block number 6 in the right-hand orange corner. Okay. And then continuity promotions or continuity programs is number 7 in the gray block. Okay. So if you look at this whole question, everything comes from this chapter 20. Premiums, firstly, secondly, sweepstakes and contests, and thirdly, continuity promotions. Okay, let's look at question 3.1. And it says, explain sales promotion management under the following headings. What are premiums? That's for 2 marks. And would Uber be able to use this sale promotion technique? And if yes, how? Okay, so let's see, what is a premium. It's articles of merchandise or services offered as a form of a gift by manufacturers to induce action on the part of the sales force, the trade representatives, and or the consumers. Okay, it's articles that they give. Okay, it's a type of a gift that they give, that the manufacturer gives. Okay, to induce action. Action is usually buying for the consumer or selling for the sales force. Okay, or the trade representatives. Those are your Pick n Pays, your Checkers, those type of companies to have those type of premiums offered in the shops. Okay, and then you get a couple of types of premiums. You get a free with purchase premium. In other words, if I buy a bag of Tastic rice, 1 kilogram, I get a sachet of what should we say? I get a sachet of flavoring, rice flavoring for free. Okay, you get mail in and online offers. Okay, where you actually things are mailed to you. These offers are mailed to you. So I just want to also refer to my own notes. Okay, where these type of premiums are offered to you online, or not online, in a mail. Okay, then you get in, on, and near pack premiums. All right, it's on your packaging itself, and you get self-liquidating offers. Okay, I haven't explained them what this means. Yeah, all right, because it's only for 2 marks. I'm not sure how the markers mark, but you need to ensure that you've given enough information for 2 marks. Now, the second part of the question says, would Uber be able to use premiums? Okay, and what I said yes. Uber would be able to use premiums as a sales promotion technique. For example, like the following. Free with purchase premium. It provides a delayed reward. Okay, and primarily designed to generate trial purchases. You have to go and look. Sorry, and I just want to find, in terms of chapters 19 and 20, sorry, I just want to quickly go there. I want you to have a look on page 551 on your textbook. Okay, there's a table 19.1. You'll see that promotions have got 3 objectives. The first one is generating trial and retrial. The second one is encouraging repeat purchases, and the third one is reinforcing brand images, and then there's an immediate or a delayed consumer reward. This table 19.1 has also been asked in an exam before, okay, where you had to give the whole table for 15 marks. So what you need to understand from chapters 19 and 20, and I'm deviating a bit, sorry about that, but I'm deviating off the question, but again, I need you to know the principles here is that sales promotions have got 3 branded objectives. As I mentioned, generating trial and retrial is the first one. The second one is to encourage repeat purchases. And the third one is to reinforce the brand image. Okay? So those are the 3 objectives. And then the reward that the consumer gets is either immediate or delayed. If you understand those concepts in your mind, you can continue to apply. And I'm going to show you why I said that just now. Okay, so sorry, would Uber be able to use these premiums? I say a free with purchase premium. Uber could, for example, provide a 5th ride for free after 4 Uber rides in excess of, let's say, 50 kilometers. So yes, that's a type of premium. It's a free with purchase premium, okay? An online offer, what I said, for example, consumers could receive a free item online after having submitted a required number proof of purchases. In other words, they need to be able to show that they have used the Uber taxi service, for example, for 10 times. Okay? After having entered 10 reference numbers, the consumer can, for example, receive a free Uber ride, or he and a friend can have a flip in the Uber chopper, or whatever the case may be. It's a delayed reward, and the objective is to encourage trial purchases. So this is just my example of how I think Uber can use premiums. The issue for you is to understand how premiums can be used, or any sales promotions, chapters 19 and 20. How can sales promotions be used? And you need to understand what each sales promotion mean to be able to apply it. All right, as I said, this whole question, table 19.1, has been asked in an exam before for 15 marks. Not this exam, another exam. Okay, question 3 says, 3 to ask you to explain the differences between sweepstakes and contests for 4 marks, and then how would Uber be able to either use sweepstakes or contests as a possible sales promotion technique to reinforce Uber's brand image? It says explain in detail. Okay, so you are required here to tell them what the sweepstake is, what the campaign would be, and I'll give you an example just now. What the campaign would be, using your own words, guys. This is why I say you need to understand what it is, because in your own words, you are going to quickly build a campaign for Uber to say how they can use sweepstakes or contests for 3 marks. Okay, so let's look at sweepstakes and contests. A sweepstake is a competition where your chance to win is purely on the basis of chance, and you don't need to provide proof of purchase. Now, for example, let's say you enter a competition to win a trip to the Olympic Games of 2018. You enter, you don't have to buy anything, you don't have to prove that you've bought specific products. Let's say it's sponsored by South African Airways, or maybe not at the moment, okay, but let's say it's sponsored by South African Airways. You don't have to show them that you've used their services before. They've just got this promotion, and they say, or the sweepstake, and they say, if you enter this competition, we will sponsor your flights and maybe other stuff, maybe accommodation to wherever the 2018 Olympic Games are going to be presented. All right, that's a sweepstake. A contest is the participant need to solve a specific contest problem. They need to follow the rules of the contest, and they may, and the word is may, need proof of purchase. Okay, so let's say, for example, a pizza company wants to has a competition for where you can win a year of pizzas, a year supply of pizzas, But what you need to do is you need to provide maybe a specific recipe for a new pizza that they can create. All right, so you need to do something in order to participate in a contest. The sweepstake is you just need to enter, and it's a basis of chance. Contest is you've got stuff to do. You need to do something. All right, so that's the difference between the two. Important, they both have a delayed reward. When you go and look on your table 19.1, page 551, you'll see their self-liquidating premiums and sweepstake and contests. They're in the consumer reward, they are delayed, but the purpose of both of these promotions is to reinforce the brand image. Okay, for 4 marks. They both offer the consumer the chance to win cash, merchandise, or travel prizes. So there's similarities, but there's also a difference between the two. Okay, how would Uber use either a sweepstake or a contest to reinforce Uber's brand image? Okay, I'd love you to respond to this, but it's going to take too much time. So I'm going to give you my example. Uber, what I say is, Uber could, for example, design a sweepstake or a competition where people are encouraged to text the word Uber, for example, or evolving the way the world moves, that's Uber's slogan, to a number, okay? So when they text this to a number, they can send a photo, or I said something like, and guys, this is just something that I thought about. You may not think it's the brightest ideas, okay? You may have something very different in mind. Absolutely, use your creativity here. Or they can send a photo of their Uber driver's license to a specific number to stand a chance to be transported to, for example, an island Mauritius holiday, by the Uber chopper, or a cruise on the Uber yacht. Okay, or they can get an Uber driver for a holiday of, say, up to 2,000 kilometers. So there's lots of things they can do. For a contest, they might require, remember we said with the sweepstake, it's just entering, you don't have to do anything. A contest where you need to do when you need to do something, you need to abide by the rules of the contest. They might require the contestant to provide a minimum of 5 different Uber driver licenses together with the reference number of the Uber trip he undertook. Okay, the trip reference number together with the driver's license could be entered into the contest with the potential of winning a prize. Similar to what I've just said. Okay. Something like people in a specific geographical area could also enter the Uber driver of the year, okay, where people vote for the best Uber driver in a specific geographic location. So what I'm trying to get to people is that the options are limitless, okay? You need to understand, and that is given to you in the text when you write your exam. You need to understand the business, and you need to really think creatively here in what can that company do to reinforce its brand image. Okay, I've mentioned a couple of quick things, but there are other things that Uber might have considered as well. Okay, anything goes. If that is your opinion, it is fine. Okay, and remember, Etienne's opinion is going to be different to Lutendo's opinion, is going to be different to Kayla's opinion, is different to Caroline's opinion. However, you need to motivate based on the theory. You need to motivate how it's going to work. Okay, so with the contest, you need to show that you understand that you need to provide proof of purchase. In my example, I said a reference number for your trip. All right, you need to send it to a specific place, those kind of things. So you need to understand what it means. Okay, and then lastly, continuity programs. What are they for 4 marks? And whether we'd recommend Uber to do or introduce a continuity program. Okay, so what are continuity programs and their objectives? Okay, they reward consumers repeat purchases of a particular brand by awarding points leading to a reduced price or free merchandise. Okay, it's often referred to as reward, loyalty, or point programs, and one that might always come to mind is probably your Pick and Pay shopper card or any other loyalty cards that you might have. So the more you use that product or service or whatever, the more points you gain. And they call it continuity because they want to keep continuity with that consumer. Pick and Pay wants to keep that continuous relationship with the client so that the client builds points, the client builds points, and then Pick and Pay obviously gets sales through client purchases. Okay, the third bullet, continuity promotions reward consumers for purchasing a particular brand repeatedly or shopping regularly at a particular store, as I said, Pick and Pay. And then point programs can encourage consumers who are not loyal to a particular brand to buy those brands that awards promotion points. In other words, let's say I'm a Checkers shopper usually, okay, and Checkers do not offer a loyalty program or a continuity program. That might, Pick and Pay might entice me to go to do my shopping rather at Pick and Pay because I win by it, I get points, and with that points I get free products, or I get a free magazine maybe, or I get my product costs are lower, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of issues to do with continuity programs. Okay, could Uber introduce a continuity program? 3 of you, yes, no, what do you think? Can Uber introduce a continuity program? Please type. Yes, Etienne. Yes, thank you. Okay, yes, they can. All right, let's see how. Okay, they can, for example, I said they can provide a loyalty card, an Uber loyalty card that customized, and I know it doesn't exist, but I've explained it hopefully well enough for the market to give me the 4 marks. What I say is Uber could provide an Uber loyalty card that customers can swipe through a special machine that the Uber driver keeps. When the consumer uses an Uber taxi, he or she swipes the card and points are awarded in terms of, for example, how far the Uber car is carrying him. If, for example, he uses Uber more than twice a week, he can receive additional points. Points could, for example, be equated to kilometers, so that when the consumer has been awarded a minimum number of points, he can use an Uber car for the same number of kilometers as the number of points that he has accumulated. Okay, it's an example. There are other ways how Uber can use it. The issue is you need to explain it in enough information so that the market gives you, in this case, the 4 marks. Okay, look at your mark allocation because that's going to show you how much depth is required for you to answer the question. Okay, let's continue. Oh, we finished with question 3.1. Okay, so those were the sales promotions. Any questions on the whole of question 3.1? I'm just quickly going to recap here. Question 3.2, we talked about the premiums, the types of premiums. Okay, question 3.2, we talked about sweepstakes versus contests, the difference between the two and how can Uber potentially use them. And then 3.2.2, we talked about continuity programs, what are they, and how can Uber potentially use them. Okay, any questions on that? Any misunderstandings? Anything that I need to explain to you again? Please let me know. Okay, no questions, so I'm continuing. Okay, Etienne, I'm waiting for your question or your whatever you've got to say. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Etienne. So I assume everybody is happiness. I'll continue with question 4 of the Uber case study. It says, assume Uber's marketing departments are planning launching an advertising campaign to build the Uber brand image throughout Africa. It is your job to guide them towards what will be the most cost-effective or suitable advertising media that they should consider for this campaign. Okay. And then they continue with saying 4.1, compare social media and traditional media and provide your answer in tabular formats. Okay. Guys, you need to understand that when they ask you to put something in a table format, that's what you need to do. Okay. So I just want to see whether I've put it in tabular format in this question. No, I didn't. Okay. Because I didn't give the explanation specifically, but always look at if they've got any specific requests in terms of how you need to provide this information. Okay. Sometimes they do ask you in tabular format, not often, but look out for things like that. Okay. Because that's what they want. Okay, so let's look at social media. This is your chapter 14. Okay. And they ask for the comparison of social media with traditional media. If you look at your block number 1 at the top, your orange block, that is the question that they are asking you to answer. All right. Continue. Okay, we've read this. They're planning to launch. Okay. Compare social media with traditional media. Do it in a table format. Okay. What are the issues? The first issue is reach. Okay. Now, if you've got this table, you've got 2 columns. The heading of the first one on the left-hand side might say social media. The heading on the right-hand column says traditional media. Okay. Then they've got a combined factor. Okay, or 5 combined factors. The first one is reach. So with reach, in terms of your social media, okay, it reaches a global audience. Sorry, I'm just reading here, making sure I've got my facts in a row. Okay. Social media, it reaches a global audience, but your production is decentralized. So YouTube, for example, can happen anywhere. It can be made anywhere, can be produced anywhere. Whereas traditional media, and remember, if we talk about traditional media, okay, let me go back to social media. Social media, just in terms of your, not your definitions, but your explanation, we are talking about your Facebooks, we are talking about your Twitters, those kind of issues that companies or platforms that companies nowadays still use now in addition to traditional media to advertise. Okay, so Facebook and Twitter comes to mind. Traditional media are your 4 traditional TV, radio, magazines, and newspaper. Okay, so the world, as you know, are moving. I mean, we are busy with a webinar here, which probably 10 years ago wasn't possible. It's not social media per se, but it has a digital implication, right? So for social media now, let's go back to reach. Your social media reaches basically where it's produced, and social media could be produced anywhere. There's not a central location to produce social media. I mean, I can go and make an advertisement of whichever product, and I can load it up onto YouTube. Okay, so it's decentralized. The production thereof is decentralized. Whereas with traditional media, where you need to make a newspaper ad, or you need to make a TV commercial, those kind of things, it's a more centralized production space, or production. The production of the advertisements is more centralized. Okay, so that's the first issue. You have to contradict the one against the other. That's what the question asks you to do. The second issue is accessibility. How accessible is it? Okay, and again with traditional media, this has to do, and don't think of accessibility in terms of where people can find it. Okay, your textbook in this instance says that accessibility refers to whether the producer is government or privately owned. So in traditional media, your newspapers, your TVs, it's either government or privately owned. Okay. Whereas with your social media, you and I and everybody out there who's got access to social media, can produce it. If you can type or if you can upload videos or whatever, you are accessible, or digital media is social media, sorry, is accessible to you. Okay, so where it's produced, it's not with social media. You and I can also produce social media. Okay, I say your social media is available at anyone or to anyone at little cost, and there are no country restrictions. So if I upload a YouTube video today, my brother who lives in England will be able to see it immediately. Okay, so that was issue number 2. Issue number 3 refers to the usability. Okay, usability in terms of social media, anyone with online access, which probably all of you have, can generate content for social media, as I said with my YouTube example. Okay, but with traditional media, you require specialized skills and training to produce an advertisement. Okay, if you've ever been to a studio where TV ads are produced, or if you've been in a recording studio where they produce radio advertisements, you will know that it's not, you really need some training and in many cases, a lot of equipment to be able to make such an advertisement for traditional media. Okay, immediacy in this case is exactly what it says. Okay, traditional, once it's created, okay, once your newspaper advertisement, once your magazine advertisement has been created, okay, and it's been placed, it can't be changed. It's kind of stuck. It's fixed. It's there. Okay. Whereas with your social media, it can chop and change the whole time. It can be generated very quickly. Okay. And the last issue here is permanence. All right. Again, once your advertisement has been created for your traditional media, it cannot be altered. It's kind of stuck. It's fixed. For example, your magazine ad has been placed. It's in the magazine. You can't change it. Whereas with your with your social media, you can change it on the fly. Okay. So general advice, and this is very applicable to this question, I think, is do not take the word reach and accessibility and immediacy for granted. Make sure that you understand what they mean in the context of that specific question. Okay, so for this one, chapter 14, I know it's relatively in the beginning, so I just want to go in my textbook. Sorry for that. I just want to turn the page there. Okay, on your page 379 of your textbook, comparisons with traditional media, it says, for example, reach both offer scale, reaching a global audience, but traditional media are more centralized in organization, production, and dissemination, etc., etc. So when you learn, don't think that I understand what reach means. Actually understand in the context of the question what they mean with reach, because reach in this context might mean something different to reach in another context in another chapter. All right. Okay, question 4.2 says, assume Uber's marketing department are planning launching an advertising campaign to build the Uber brand image throughout Africa. It's your job to guide them towards what will be the most effective or suitable advertising media that they should consider. 4.2 says, let's assume you would like Uber to consider online advertising as a possible advertising media option. Explain the following online advertising formats to Uber's marketing team. And you've got search engine advertising for 5 marks, rich media for 8 marks, blogs and podcasts for 4 marks, and mobile advertising for 3 marks. Guys, have a look at the mark allocation here. Each one is very different. So if you write in bullet format like I, for example, do, you can't think that 3 bullets with rich media is going to award you 8 marks. Look at the mark allocation to know how much you need to write. I'm sorry, I know I've said that before, but I see that issue coming through over and over again, where people either write too little, or where, for example, mobile advertising, where it's only 3 marks, and they go on and on and on and on, giving information that's not adding any value, or not giving them excess of marks that doesn't give them more marks than the 3 marks allocated to that specific question. Okay, so look at your mark allocation. Okay, we're looking at chapter 13, online and mobile advertising. And people, you need to understand that chapter 13, online and mobile advertising, and chapter 14, social media advertising, are extremely important in today's day and age. Okay, so you have to understand and learn these questions, because from a marketing point of view, from a showing what you understand about marketing communications, this is the way the world is moving. We are becoming more and more online, more and more digitalized. If you go and look, for example, at your chapter of traditional mediums or traditional advertising, you will note that newspapers, the readership of newspapers are decreasing year by year by year. Okay, in lieu of mobile advertising, in lieu of social media advertising. So this is the way the marketing world is moving. And this is why chapters 13 and 14, for example, is so important, because businesses are required to have online and social media strategies in order to be as part of their whole marketing communications, as part of their whole integrated marketing communications strategy. Okay, if you are not online nowadays, it's not a good place to be. Okay, so if we look at chapter 13, online and mobile advertising, all right, the yellow block number 2, we talk about search engine advertising. That was for 5 marks. Block number 4, rich media. That was also an issue. I think it was for 8 marks. Block number 6, blogs and podcasts. If I remember correctly, that was for 4 marks. And then mobile advertising, block number 8, was for 3 marks. Okay, so again, this whole question 4 comes from this chapter. Okay, so let's continue. The first one talks about search engine advertising. You can go and have a look in your textbook. There's a green block. Let's quickly see if I can find it. In chapter 13. It's on your page 356 in your textbook. Okay, at the bottom there's a green block that looks at search engine advertising. Remember, it's for 5 marks. And basically, this is an explanation of how search engine advertising works. Okay, so guys, you probably all have done search engine advertising. So I'm a prospective buyer. I, for example, go and Google being my search engine for the word leather handbags. I'm interested in buying a new leather handbag, so I insert the word leather handbags in my Google search. Now Google or other search engines, you get Yahoo, Bing, whomever, matches my words, leather handbags, with your shopper's search. Okay, and then when you go and Google, you will always see there's a little block that says sponsored I or sponsored links. Okay, so these are companies that are actually paying for space on Google. If I can put it simplistically, they pay for space on Google, and in the words that they buy, in the space that they buy, the 2 keywords leather or handbag, or both leather and handbag, is part of the words that they buy, and the space that they buy, and these sponsored links therefore come up first, because these are advertisements. They come up first when I've entered the keywords leather handbags. Okay. Number 4, the sponsored link appears because companies offering the specific item with keywords from the search engine company. In other words, my leather handbag search, okay, those are the keywords. My search engine company, Google, goes and they link it with what the advertisers have used as keywords, and ta-da, pops up the advertisements, And then lastly, I can choose, I'm the shopper, I choose to click through on that advertisement to the sponsored website, okay, and I purchase the item, or I decide that I click through to that sponsored website and I say, okay, I'm not going to buy now, I might consider this for future purchases, okay. I think most of us have done search engine or search on Google for something, especially if you've done your assignments. So I don't think this is news, but I think what is important for you to understand the process of how search engine advertising works. Okay, so that was for 5 marks. The second one talks about rich media, and there's a whole host of issues in terms of what rich media is. Okay, it's an online advertisement that uses motion, sight, and sound in advertisements which attract more attention. So there's, boom, your theory of what rich media is. You need to explain to your examiner that you understand what is meant with rich media. Okay. My second thing that I explain to my examiner is that I understand that there are more than one type of rich media. Okay, the first one is pop-ups, an advertisement that appears in a separate window while the web page is loading. It remains on the screen until it is manually closed. They are very prominent and viewed negatively by many people. Maybe just, and I know in the exam situation you are very stressed, but if you're not quite sure how they apply the marking, rather write a little bit more than less. Okay. Another type of rich media is interstitials. These are advertisements that appear between two content web pages. The viewer cannot manually close an interstitial, so the entire advertisement must run out. If you guys have ever gone onto YouTube and you want to watch a specific YouTube video, okay, you will know that there are sometimes interstitials. No, I lie. This is not YouTube. Okay, it appears between two content web pages. Sorry, not YouTube. I'm wrong. Okay, two content web pages. The fact of the matter is you cannot close it manually. So if the advertisement is for 15 seconds, you have to run it out until it's finished. Okay, so that was interstitials. Another type is superstitials. These are short animated ads that play over or on top of a web page. This is your YouTube video that you can close, and then you get online video ads or audio video ads that are similar to a 30-second TV commercial, but it's only shortened to 10 or 15 seconds and it's compressed. Okay, so this is rich media. Let me see if I've added anything here. Okay, so you need to ensure that you've given 8 marks worth of content here in terms of what rich media is. Okay, then they ask you about blogs and podcasts for 4 marks. The blogs are your ordinary people like you and I, who communicate or exchange ideas on issues that we are personally interested in. We exchange maybe ideas about products and brands, and we can learn, and companies can learn more about themselves through these interactions. Third bullet, blogging is attractive because a company can communicate directly with prospective consumers who can then become active communicators through their own posted comments. And then what are podcasts? They are audio versions of blogging, and they use sound files. Okay. And then lastly, mobile advertising. We're talking about cell phones, which are becoming smarter, providing additional features, GPSs, social media, etc., etc. We talk about SMSs. We all know about SMSs. We all know about MMSs, or your multimedia messaging systems. We know that there are a growing number of mobile phone users throughout the world, and it provides opportunities for your advertisers to reach potential consumers, especially younger people, because younger people are more tech savvy than the older people. Okay, and then there's the issue of invasion of privacy, as you can see on your screen. Okay, I want to just, before I continue to the next question, okay, this question specifically asks you to just explain what the issues are. Okay, there has been a previous exam, and I think it was Pizza Hut, which was a very similar question where they asked you, how will Pizza Hut use, or how can Pizza Hut use, for example, mobile advertising? How can Pizza, and I think it was Pizza Hut, just, yeah. How could they use, and I just want to go back, blogs and podcasts, how can they use rich media to promote their launch in Africa, if I remember the question correctly? So how can they use search engine advertising? So in the Pizza Hut example, something you might, your search word might have been Pizzas Johannesburg, and then how the process follows. So when you do a question, make sure that you answer what they say. Do you need to apply it to the case study? Do you need to only explain what you mean with the terminology? All right. In this case, the way I read it is just an explanation of what each one is, and they did not specifically ask you how would Uber have used these when going into Africa. Okay, so read your question. Okay, mobile advertising, and then the last question, Uber question 4.3. Okay, we've read the first part, so just with 4.3 brand placements. 431 says, compare brand placements with branded entertainment. Okay, and here it says 432, explain the advantages of using brand placements by applying each advantage to the Uber brand. Okay, so the one part of 4.3.2 says, explain what the advantage is. Give me the theory of what the advantage of brand placement is. Okay, and then secondly, apply it to Uber. Okay, read your questions. When should you apply and when is it not applicable? Okay, this question refers to chapter 15, direct marketing and other media. All right, and then specifically block 6, brand placements, the green block for both questions 431, the difference between the two, and then 432 that says the advantages of using brand placements. Okay, so let's look at the answer. Everybody still with me? Okay, please just give me an indication. Everybody still happy? No questions so far? Thanks, Caroline. Okay, Lucindo, thank you. Happy, thanks, thank you. Etienne, thank you, Kayla. Okay, let's continue. Brand placements versus branded entertainment, guys, and this is to do with the terminology, okay? Your textbook is quite intense. If you haven't started with your studies and your summaries, you better do so very, very quickly, okay? Because this textbook in some places is not very bulleted. Some of the detail lies within the wording, within the paragraphs, and this is a case in point. When you look at brand placements versus branded entertainment, this is in chapter 15, I quickly want to page to it in the textbook, and I want to read to you what it says here. Sorry, if you can just bear with me. I just want to get to the correct page. Okay, on page 419, when you get there, it says, it talks about brand placements and it gives you a definition within the context of a selected medium, etc., etc. And then it says in brackets, and it's so easy to miss. So make sure that your summaries are very, very thorough. The term branded entertainment includes brand placements as well as event and sponsorship marketing, also covered in 21. Okay, so in one sentence, it asks you the difference between the two. Okay, and it's so easy to miss. So you really need to go through this textbook in quite detail to make sure that you've got all the issues covered when you do your summaries. Okay, sorry, brand placement is a marketing strategy where the advertiser places a brand within the context of a selected medium. For example, in the context of a TV or a film. Okay. For example, if I think about Uber, okay, let's see how we're going to apply just now. Okay, and then branded entertainment is a brand placement as well as events and sponsorship marketing. So that's the difference between the two. The advantages of using brand placements. It's less intrusive than advertisements. We all have sat in front of the TV, and as soon as there's a break in the advertisement, a break in the program that you're watching, you get this advertisement, it's in your face. You don't necessarily want to be exposed to it, but you cannot avoid it except if you do channel hopping or you stand up and you make yourself a cup of tea or whatever you do. Okay, but it's intrusive, it's in your face. Brand placements are not as intrusive in your advertisement, not as an intrusive advertisement. So if we think about Uber, okay, people will therefore less likely try to avoid the Uber brand. It might have been the case if the brand was recognized in a TV advertisement. Okay, so let's give an example. Let's say you've got a TV program, whichever, a soapy. Okay, a soapy that you are watching from Monday through to Friday at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever every night. Okay, and then Uber goes and they specifically show, for example, how the main character phones and say, or taps on his phone, opens up the Uber application. You see it very clearly, and he uses the Uber car, and he might confirm you the Uber driver, and things like that. So it's in the context of the specific TV program. Okay, so when you see that Uber app on your TV screen, it's not going to be as intrusive. So you're going to accept that advertisement, because remember, it's still an advertisement. You're going to accept that advertisement much more than you would have done if it was a big Uber 30-second commercial on TV. Okay, so that's the first advantage. The second advantage, because it's less intrusive, it's less likely to be rejected outright. Okay, so when you see that advertisement, that Uber application, for example, on your character that's in your TV program, and you see big the Uber application, you're not going to reject it outright. Okay, you can't channel hop because it's part of your story, it's part of your soapy, so you're not going to reject it outright. Whereas if in a normal TV advertisement scenario, when you see that Uber ad, you might again go to the toilet or go make yourself a cup of coffee or whatever the case may be. You can reject that advertisement. You can avoid that advertisement very quickly or very easily. Okay, so that's the second advantage of brand placements. Okay, so what I've said here, for example, people sometimes do not appreciate blatant marketing appeals, as brand placements is much more subtle. People seeing the Uber brand will less likely reject it outright. Okay, number 4, there's a strong potential for enhanced brand image and to build an emotional connection. Okay, so what I've said here in terms of Uber, if a moviegoer, and now I'm talking about a movie, if a moviegoer, for example, sees the hero in a movie using the Uber application, it could build brand image for Uber and build a connection to that brand. Okay, so let's say in a James Bond 007 movie, you see Daniel Craig, the James Bond, using an Uber application. It's definitely going to build Uber's brand image. Okay, and because we all want to be a James Bond in our lives, whether you're male or female, you might have that aspirational, that emotional connection with the brand. Okay, and then it's a memorable association. It enhances recognition and recall. If you remember James Bond using Uber, you're going to remember the brand so much more. I say here, if the Uber logo is prominently displayed or mentioned in a movie, it might enhance the brand's recognition and recall. Okay, so we've talked about the advantages. This question is for 8 marks. The first side, less intrusive than advertisements, is not going to give you your mark. You need to explain what you mean with the concept. Okay, so less intrusive. and then you you need to explain you need to explain the theory and then apply it to Uber for 8 marks. Okay, capiche, happiness. Okay, ooh, and that was it. Okay, that was the last question, the last part. Does anybody have another question? Okay, whilst you are thinking about it, and whilst you might be typing for if any questions, I would maybe suggest, I recognize some of your names whom I've dealt with the assignment as well, okay? But you might want to go to previous exams. You've got 3 exam papers on eLearn. You've got this one, Uber Now, and then you've got the October 2016 exam, and you've got the May 2016 exam. Have a look at those questions. Have a look at what was asked. Have a look at analyzing those questions in terms of what is theory and what is application. Okay. In this exam, for example, they pulled the Uber application right through from question 1 to question 4. Okay. What they sometimes do is they say the first 4 questions they just ask you to do, and then they say section B, read the Uber case study, and then answer the next questions, which implies that you need to apply the questions to the case study. So make sure that you understand your question paper even before you start. What is just theory questions, if any? What are applications? Okay, so I would suggest that you really go through the other exam papers as well to get a feel for the format that the questions are asked in. Okay, any other questions? Any specific, because we've only dealt with about 5 or 6 of the chapters. There are 18 in total that you need to deal with. Some of them, 5 of them, you've already dealt with in your assignments as well. Okay, but yeah, don't underestimate marketing communications. It's a lot of work. Therefore, you need to really, really start with your summaries and your learning if you haven't yet. And then I've heard some people, it works for some, it doesn't work for everybody, to do the mind maps. For example, let me just show you my example. This one, oops, sorry. This one is, for example, a mind map that I did for chapter 15. Okay, because I do this because there's so much information and so much detail within each chapter that I get lost amongst all the details. So if I've got this mind map, and if I purely learn from the mind map, it makes sense as to what is where, what are the issues. And when I was a student, and I think I've mentioned it to some of you, when I was a student, I used to learn only from mind maps. And if I've explained, for example, what you see in front of you on the screen, if the issue is direct marketing's phenomenal growth, number 1, and I can't explain it to myself, then I know I don't that I don't know what the issues are. Okay, if I don't know, for example, number 3, direct mail, give an example of a successful direct mail campaign, or how our database is used with direct marketing campaigns, then I know I don't understand the issues and I don't know my work. So this is something I use to keep my sanity, to understand where I am in terms of the bigger picture of the chapter, so that I don't get lost, in the detail. Okay, so you're welcome to use that. Sorry, I'm just getting back to, okay, sorry, let me just go back 1. All right, so if you don't have any other questions, I'm just going to repeat some of my exam techniques and tips. And the first one is, guys, and it sounds so obvious, but I promise you, a lot of people do not do this. Read your question, and then read your question again. It may, for example, be that they give you a section A and a section B. I don't know what the exam is going to look like, but let's assume they give you section A and a section B, and the questions in section A might ask you to apply the question to your own example. Okay, And then question B might say to apply to a specific case study, let's say Uber, all right? And a lot of students still go, and the question says apply this to, for example, Samsung, and they go and they apply to another something else. I had in one of my other modules, the question specifically asked the students to apply the theory to, I think it was holiday in hotels, to any holiday, oh, it was with the assignment, with any holiday in hotels, and students went and they applied it to other hotels. Okay, what is the question asking you to do? If you have to apply it, to whom do you need to apply? To your case study that they've given you, okay? Or do you need to give your own examples? Have a look at that. Analyze each question. Okay, sorry. The next issue is plan your answers, okay? I know we are all stressed when we are writing exams, and sometimes we just go off on a tangent and we write the first thing that gets into your head, okay? And then you scratch this out and you're not sure. Okay, things go haywire. So plan your answers before you start writing. Know what it is that you want to write, what you need to write, and then answer your questions systematically. Okay, I've said this a couple of times tonight. Be sure you know the mark allocation for each question, and this assists you in helping you to understand how much to write. I've seen, not maybe in this module, but I've seen in other modules where exactly the same question has been asked over 2 or 3 exam papers, and every time the mark allocation has been different, which gives you an indication of how much to write. Don't write too little, don't write too much. It's very difficult, but try to get a balance there. Okay, I've said this a couple of times tonight again. Remember, you second years, guys, headings only do not receive marks. You have to provide some theoretical background as well as show that you understand the issues, okay? So if you say reach, what does reach mean in theory? And then if the question asks you, continue to apply the issue of, for example, reach, okay? It's amazing how people, and especially if you are stressed, okay, I absolutely understand that you either just do the theory and you forget to apply, or you rush into the application without providing the theory. Okay, so make sure that you've read your question, you know whether they're only asking theory, whether you need to apply, and what do you need to apply. Okay. And then lastly, structure your answer properly. For example, number your questions properly, underline, highlight your headings, whatever it may be, make it easy for your marker to mark. It's really, and remember the markers get a lot of questionnaires to mark. The easier you make it for the marker to read what you are writing in terms of headings, and you can even put bullets in there. You don't have to necessarily write paragraphs. You can bullet each point, and making it easy for your marker, the easier it is to look for marks for the student. But if you get students who write paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, it really becomes quite difficult to go and look for the marks within those paragraphs. Right, short and sweet, keep it to the point. Don't blab, okay? Keep it short and sweet, okay? And then maybe another thing, and I've said it again already previously, look at the question in terms of what you need to do. If you need to give it in a table format, please do it, okay? Because there's a reason why the examiner asks it in that way, okay? Anything else? Any questions from your side before we say goodbye? We've still got 45 minutes, so until 8:30 if you need to. Otherwise, I really wish you nothing but the best. Okay, work hard, guys. It's a lot of information, but you've come this far. It's only 4 more weeks to go, and you can do it. Okay, Etienne, happy? Thanks. Okay, Caroline is typing. It's a pleasure, Caroline. I hope it goes well in your exam. Kayla, it's a pleasure. Thank you to you too. Thanks for listening in. Have a safe trip home. Thank you, Etienne. I hope you are home already. You can go have a nice cup of coffee or hot chocolate or whatever. It's a pleasure, Latendo. Good luck with the exam. Guys, I really, really, really hope it goes well. Okay. Exam technique is nearly as important as the content. Always remember that. As soon as you understand how to apply these techniques, it's also going to become easier for you to study the subject, especially things like marketing and marketing communications, which generally is a learning topic or a learning module, as opposed to finance and economics, which generally is more an understanding topic. Good luck. I really hope the best for you. It goes well with you. Take care.